Morning, what's going on guys? Jan in the wild here on a sort of walking part of my run because I was so out of breath and I wanted to do a quick intro, but man couldn't breathe next to a pond. Very nice. Ruddy, freezing as usual. We did a match preview yesterday to the Leicester game, which I'm very excited about, tomorrow lunch. And built a lineup, spoke about Leicester, spoke about the Reece James injury and other stuff too. So check that out. Today I think we'll probably talk a little bit about maybe Reece James. He posted on social media about his injury. Huge talking point about the Chelsea captain, potentially our best player as well. Yeah man. So we'll keep it tranquil, still waters, and I'll see you in a bit.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
And here we are, what's poppin' people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, genuinely do hope that. Welcome back to the studio and to Chelsea news. Yes, the footballing world, certainly all Chelsea fans, all talking about Reece James, going a little bit chicken oriental. Well, that's a huge talking point. This is the Chelsea captain, potentially our best player. There's a good argument for that. I know people will say Cole Palmer, fine. But Reece James is that guy. He's a difference maker. Remember a few years ago, they were like, well, if Reece, even Ben Chilwell to a degree, but mainly Reece James, if he's in the team, he's a difference maker. And he is Chelsea. He's the one that the new ownership, are banking on. They gave him the new contract. He's got the captaincy. They were looking at who are the sort of non-negotiables here as Chelsea Academy graduates. Levi Colwill, Reece James. The rest can go. There was a little bit of that. So they're really banking on Reece James, and the injury problems essentially is the problem. I am going to remind you guys what this guy is good at. We've never actually looked at Reece James on X Value, so we're going to do that. And look at when he's had like more minutes over the years, and remind ourselves what this guy does and what he offers to the team. Of course, we know, I was going to say the unquantifiables and the intangibles, but the just battling for Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit, he quite off the pitch, very loud on it. I love Reece James when he scores, the way he celebrates, the way he sort of fights oppositions, when he holds up the Chelsea shirt and celebrations and stuff like that. I love all that. And I'm desperate for it to work out for him. Of course, he's got another injury, and this is what everyone's talking about. He's also released this sort of statement on social media, which we're going to react to here. So it's going to be hopefully a great video, and lots of talking points to get into, especially with how Chelsea are dealing with him with his rehabilitation. Boys, girls, ladies and gents, thank you for joining me as always. Please do consider supporting the content. Easy to do so, you just drop a like on the video. And if you do want to subscribe, you're welcome to. Hit the bell if you choose to. Let's get into it. So, context, we'll see the appearances in a moment of Reece James over the years. He's an amazing player that hasn't featured anywhere near as much as he should have at this point in his career. He is, how old is he? He is, 24, 25? I think he's 24 still. He's mid-20s. He's got his best years in front of him still. He's still a relatively young captain, all things considered. We know the story. He's been in and out with injury. Chelsea this time want to be so careful with him. And although Enzo Maresca said, and I reacted to this yesterday, he's the only player out injured, it doesn't seem like it's a big bad injury, but he is out of a matchday squad after a 2-week break with an international break because he can't play because he felt something in training. Now this of course has caused massive stir across the footballing world. Chelsea fans are in despair. Rival fans are taking the mickey as it happens. But we need to remember there's a person behind this, and we'll look at his statement in just a moment. First of all, Reece James, maybe, and I'm speculating here, but maybe in previous managements and stuff, they sort of try and stretch this out, give him an injection and get him back onto the pitch. But maybe this is the point now that if he feels a slight twinge, they're like, nope, you ain't going anywhere near the pitch until, and he was asked this in his press conference, possibly by maybe Nizar Kinsella, BBC, saying, look, when's this guy going to get a 7-month stretch of just being available for games? And Maresca did say hopefully soon, we're aiming for that. And he kind of the inference was that this situation with him being taken out is a largely protective scenario. It's a look, we don't have to risk this guy, especially, maybe against a promoted side in Leicester, when we have a player like Malo Gusto. And my word, thank God for Malo Gusto, because we would have signed someone else by now. But Gusto represents an excellent purchase, an incredible purchase at such a affordable fee as well, under 30 million. He's played right back, left back. He's inverted into defensive midfield. He's inverted into like the number 10 position. He's pretty cool, Gusto. I like him. He's there's something quite chill about him. He's one of the boys, really good at speaking English, and I really love the signing of Gusto. I mean, look, in terms of hits, everyone talks about the Joe Shields signings and Lavia and Cole Palmer. But I think like Noni Madueke and Jackson, both at like £29 million, were excellent. But also the cheap fullbacks, again, Gusto under £30 million and Renato Vega under £12 million. These are intelligent signings, Yes, rightly, you can point to the 1,000 goalkeepers and the Monaco centre-backs and raise collective eyebrows. I agree. But there have been hits in there. Let's see what Reece James has said then, shall we? Okay, so I've prepared it to get it up on the screen. So this is on his Instagram, @Reece. Hello all, I hope and wish you are all well. This message is to the people that understand and have respect for what I'm going through. I appreciate you so much. Your support and kind messages go further than you could ever imagine. And just to touch on me, I'm doing okay, been better, but I've also been worse. Another challenge ahead accepted. Eventually, I will come out on top against all odds. Lastly, I'd like to touch on the festive period coming. These times are tough for everyone. I wish you all happy and peaceful festive season. A nice message from the Chelsea captain to sign off there. I believe he did follow up with this social media story with the picture of the tattoo on his leg, which is, I think, is the Champions League trophy, and says, I just didn't quit. He ain't gonna quit. Nice. Before we get into the stats, we need to remember this is a person, a human being. Reece James isn't some kind of mercenary that just wants money that, would have... I mean, players do go to Saudi League or, they used to go to China and stuff. He wants to play for his boyhood club. He wants to be that guy. Again, I've always been very transparent about my opinion on him being captain. Not that I don't think he should be captain, but I do have concerns of elements of his captaincy. I'm just giving my opinion on that. But he speaks about how he's always wanted to be Chelsea captain, how that's always been the dream. Got to respect that. And, if he's on the pitch, he is a difference maker. But we need to remember this is a guy, all he wants to do is play football. You've got one life. You've got one football career. It's not long. All you want to do is play football. When all you want to do is help your team, and you've got the responsibility of being captain. You've already tried to, in many ways, in a few ways, and this isn't a criticism because he's still young and learning, but off the pitch, I'd say he's failed already in a couple of ways in terms of captaincy. What I mean is when he got, those suspensions when he wasn't even playing for shouting at the ref in the tunnel was just really unhelpful. But, and Maresca, the Chelsea manager has called him out and as elements of, challenged elements of his captaincy to rise to the occasion. You could say unfairly a little bit. Maybe this is more off the pitch stuff because he hasn't had the chance, really, Reece James, to prove himself on the pitch yet. And to be honest, in the 4 appearances he's had so far this season, or I don't know how many starts, a couple of starts, he's looked all right. He's looked like a really solid player, playing out of position at left back, playing at right back, tucking into right centre back. This is a Champions League winner that won the Champions League, being friggin' amazing. So with that, should we look at some of his stats then? Well, so you're going to use X value here. Let's move this over a little bit to here. All right, so as you can see, this is from the season after the Champions League. No, this is the season after the Champions League win. Because I think this is the last season he played a significant amount of Premier League minutes, like nearly 1,900 Premier League minutes, right? So that's quite a lot still. As you can see, his heat map is right flank dominant massively, okay? sort of going into kind of nearly goal scoring central positions here. I suppose underlapping a winger maybe, but this would have been a wing back system. And before, let's look at his historical performance here. So yes, the Champions League winning season, he made 32 league appearances. Obviously, for Wigan in the Championship, 45 appearances. Remember, he was given the captaincy at the end, even despite being a teenage, lonely right back. He was moved into midfield. He was given the captaincy as a gesture of, you're our best player and you saved us from relegation. He comes into the Premier League, 24. Obviously, he's rotating with probably Azpilicueta and people at that point. And then Thomas Tuchel comes in and makes a three-back system, and Reece James is a wing-back, plays 32 Premier League games, which is lots, of course. And then we've got the season following, which is 26. 5 goals and 9 assists, 14 Premier League goal involvements from wing-back. And this is the 21-22 season, what we're looking at now. Strengths, performance chart, really, really creative, passing, assisting, really good dribbler. Not lots defensively, but he had a double six and back three behind him. We know he can be an amazing defender. Shooting, he's actually really strong at shooting, so I'd expect to see that a bit higher. Wide creator, massively creative player. Really what you need, but he's also can control the game and create chance and is roaming. He's got really good sort of elements to his play there. Amazing at combining 1-2s, open play crosses. We know, like, you know, him and Trent are like the best sort of, I say, fullbacks, inverted commas, because Trent goes into midfield and Reece James can play as a wing back or whatever. But they're like the best passes in the game at that position. Dribbles really good, cutbacks really good, and superb stuff really. Yeah, really, if you look at his... Okay, so let's look at some stats then here. Here's his performance chart. Now, this is the same season after winning the Premier League. The last sort of sample size we've got. Again, interceptions is low because not defending as a wing-back, tackling, but he's got really high tackle win percentage. Remember, this guy locked down Vinicius Jr. away at Real Madrid and absolutely gave him no change. I think he did the same with like Rafa Leao and other superstars as well. Reece James has got the streets in terms of wingers that have come up against him, and they've got absolutely nothing against him. So, like, you know, Reece James is an amazing attacker. He's trained as a striker as a kid. He's got an amazing shooting technique. He's really creative. His crossing's insane. Like everyone will tell you about his crossing, but his defending is really, really friggin' good, man. His expected assists and expected carries, you know, out of this world. As you can see, shooting here, he's not the most offensive, although shooting goal added per XG, which is... We ain't going to read that. But positive, chance creation, like, absolutely immaculate. Top 3% for expected assists and expected open play assists. Incredible, really. Progression, getting you up the pitch, amazing. 1-2's open, no one's better than him. Expected threats from carries and passes, very, very strong. Expected threats, top 8% from all these sort of wide players. Interesting, duels aren't massively good or defensive actions, but I think that's largely down to the position, to the style. He's been playing under Tuchel. Let's have a look at the Champions League winning season. Similar stuff, I imagine. Strong creation and progression. But interesting to see the polar chart change. His passing's just always been immaculate. He is a baller. So let's have a look at this season and the very limited games he's had, playing at sort of left back and right back. Expected assists very high, crosses very high, carries and expected threat from passes very high. Obviously, he's been playing quite reserved, withdrawn role under Enzo Maresca. Progression, chance creation though. In the limited minutes, 196. Similarly, progression, very, very, very high, 90. Again, 1-2s. So good at 1-2s and combining down that right flank. Look, man, like, he is an amazing he's a great defender. He's a great attacker. He's positionally versatile, but he's so, so creative. All these years that we've been missing him when, like, you know, we really sort of needed more creativity for players, and we were a bit stuck under Potter when we just didn't score at all, which was like the opposite of Pochettino when we scored but we couldn't defend. Reece James really makes your attack better. People forget, like, he will light up your attack. for players like, obviously strikers, centre forwards like Nico Jackson, but Nkunku would love playing with a Reece James as well, because even if Nkunku's not going to play like a Didier Drogba in the box, he still will crash the box as a shadow striker and be there for like cutbacks and 1-2 and all this combinational play. Reece James really can do it all. I get while we won't give up on him, but how would you give up on Reece James? It would be devastating. He's on really high wages, of course, and he's not on the incentivized wage structure. He's just on the big P's. But if there's one player that's sort of earned it, it's unlike Mason Mount. Reece James is a Chelsea fan. He's a proper Chelsea fan. He loves Chelsea. Mount was a Pompey fan. They've both been at Chelsea for a long time. Mount gave a lot to Chelsea, but he was also like, I'm out of it. Do you know what I mean? Reece James never wanted that. So it's kind of like if there's one character to give it all to like really give him the chance, it is Reece James, genuinely. I'm desperate for him to work. I know everyone loves Malo Gusto, rightly, but of course if Reece James is fit, he starts over Malo Gusto, who's been amazing. It's just that simple. So I'm desperate for him to work for him, but we have to have this sort of realistic conversation that we were having last season, like about this season. It does feel a bit make or break for him, and I don't mean break as in like despair and it's all over, but like, I don't know, man, like, because you can't like rip up his contract, but what do you do with a player that's on a really high contract that just can't play football? As much as there's sentiment there, you've got to, I suppose, invoke the mindset that he's got, that I just have to get better. I just have to make this work. Chelsea can play him in reserved roles, play him at left back so he doesn't have to run forward so much. CDM, but if he's getting like injuries in training, it is a huge, huge worry. Look, I am desperately hoping the best for him, and I think we all are, really. And I've got no way. I wouldn't like push him out. Ever be like, yeah, the club is getting a free wage. I would never do that to Reece James. But it feels telling this season, by the end of this season, because with the much better medical team that we've got, with the much better injury record that we've got, with the data on Reece James we've had for years now, and he's in his mid-20s, with all the goodwill and the careful, gently approach in the world, I feel like we learn about this. Obviously, we've heard those stories that he was been suggested or advised to go and essentially play football in warmer climates for his hamstrings. And whether that's like, Portugal and, Benfica would be getting an amazing player there, especially if he's fit all the time. But maybe that will eventually happen. Maybe he goes to Spain or Portugal and plays his football there. Who knows? Anyway, heavy. Anyway, I wanted to react to it because everyone's talking about it. Let me know what you think. As always, leave a comment below. Thank you for liking and subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy. And I do hope to see you back here very, very soon. Peace.